Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kate, or I go by Always More Gaming here on YouTube. I don't know how obvious it sounds, but I finally gotten my voice back. I am still unfortunately recovering though. I had walking pneumonia. First time I've ever had walking pneumonia, so it was a bit of an experience. It completely took my voice away. Like, I had no voice, but I wanted to go ahead and make a video. I will not be finishing Poppy Playtime Chapter 4. I did not make this decision, like, I did not take this decision lightly. And I'll be honest, what really is getting me hung up on, like, what really had me, like, wanting to finish the chapter was more the fact that I paid $15. 15? I think so, because I got it on sale. Like, when it first dropped, it was on sale, I think, if you had it wishlisted. Anyways, it is now $20 for a chapter, which I still think is ridiculous. But I spent $15 on this game and on this chapter. And I'm pretty sure I'm technically only like an hour away from being finished with it. But I'm just kind of, I don't know. I'm just kind of over it. I wanted to really share my thoughts though on the chapter. I have watched a playthrough. I actually watched Jacksepticeye play through the chapter, so I know how it ends. And I'm going to be talking about those spoilers, so if you, for whatever reason, and I don't know why you would do this, but if you are only watching me play and struggle through this chapter, there are going to be some spoilers. I don't know, I feel like, I don't know, I don't know how to properly convey my thoughts here, and I get the feeling that sorry, the cough has stuck around quite a bit. I get the feeling that as this video continues, my voice is going to kind of crash out on us and go away. But I don't know. I feel like story-wise, this wasn't the strongest chapter. I feel like if we're talking about which chapter was like the strongest in the storyline aspect, I would say it was probably chapter 3. I felt like there was so many like little errandy, like, and they weren't even technically, I wouldn't even know that I'd call them errands. Like, they were errands, but not like, I think errands, and I can't help but think of chapter 3 of Benny and the Ink Machine. Like, that was errands. But like, I felt like there wasn't a whole lot going on main story wise. That we were working with Doey, we were working with Poppy, we were trying to take down the doctor, Harley Sawyer. I still love his voice. Like, I have to say, I think the voice acting for this game has like gotten really good. Not that it wasn't at the beginning, but I feel like they've really, like, amped up the voice acting for these games. I'm very impressed with the voice acting. But also, how many times can I, can I say, I like what they were trying to do with, like, the puzzles. Like, I think, like, this whole cable puzzle that I really struggled with for the longest time, I think in theory and in concept, it's actually a pretty cool puzzle. I just think this one was almost too much. Like, I just feel like there was so much happening with this puzzle that we were trying to, like, keep straight. That's also how I felt with the Baba Chops part, and that's what I left off on. That's where, like, that's as far as I've played. I have not played anymore since the last part was posted. I just, again, I think in theory, some of these puzzles could have been really cool, but at the same time, they felt very. Is convoluted the word I want to use? Siri. Define convoluted. He'll tell us.
Convoluted means, especially of an argument, story, or sentence extremely complex.
Yeah.
And difficult to follow.
I would say convoluted would work. I just felt like this puzzle was extremely complicated. More complicated than I think it needed to be, and like maybe it would have felt maybe it would have been different if you weren't being stalked by Yarnaby. But I actually kind of liked that aspect of it. Like it took me a while to like get used to it. Because again, like I have very low tolerance for like super horror-y stuff, and there was just something else I was gonna say and it lost me. It's like I got stuck. I'm like horror-y. Ooh, I don't know if they heard me how I wanted them to hear me with that word. No, I just or like anything that like really gets the adrenaline pumping. I do not handle my adrenaline going up very well. Like I get super shaky and like I have a really hard time coming down off of like my adrenaline spiking. I am not an adrenaline junkie despite loving stuff like roller coasters and driving fast with the top down. I'm not an adrenaline junkie. So like when things get me like super like like I have a hard time coming down off of it, and I think that's one of the reasons why I'm not into horror games. But like I think like Yarnaby stalking us was actually it was probably some of my favorite parts of the game. Not necessarily this puzzle, because I got really aggravated with the puzzle itself, especially when I got caught, because I got stuck. If you remember in like part 3, I got stuck trying to come into one of these hidey holes. I just finished the puzzle in the other room, and he got me, and it completely reset me. So by then, like, I kind of lost any appreciation I had for this puzzle. But I think, again, in theory, it could have been really cool. It's just a little too much. I think the same could be said for the Baba Chops part, that there were just so many pieces of it, and it was difficult. It wasn't an easy chapter by any means, and I'm honestly kind of glad that I didn't end up finishing the chapter, because from what I saw of the Doughy battle, it was it probably would have had me pretty frustrated as well. So I guess like that kind of brings us back around to the story. I will say, like, Doughy, the way that Doughy turned on us was not the way I was expecting Doughy to turn on us. Like, I was thinking that, like, Doughy was, like, putting on a front, like, pretending to be super friendly, while in the background, he's actually, like, not in the background, but, like, his true colors is that he's not a good guy. He's not supposed to help us. He's going to turn around and betray us, and like that's what I had expected him to be. So to find out that that's not what he was like, that like he was genuine, and wanting to help the toys and wanting to keep them all safe, was actually kind of a nice surprise. But I don't know. I felt like I'm kind of conflicted about the doctor and the fact that like he's gone now. But like you shut down all these all the different organs that were like spread out, and like he didn't seem that concerned about you shutting down like all of these different organs other than his brain. Like he was just kind of like meh. Also, I'm sorry, how does a brain in a jar, I have my window open, so I'm sorry if you can hear that loud vehicle outside. How does a brain in a jar continue to have Sawyer's voice? like that just does not make sense to me. I'm like I don't know that your voice is necessarily much to do with your brain. It's more on like how your vocal cords are formed and, you know, different hormones and like all and like just different things. I just don't know that it has much to do with like your brain. I could be wrong. I don't know a whole lot about vocal cords. But like that really I was kind of like, he's a brain in a jar. Why does he sound the exact same as when he was a person? Anyways, I feel like his death was kind of unsatisfying, from what I saw, and I'm glad I didn't have to face off against all of his robot lackeys. It was pretty stressful when I was watching Sean play. I was like, okay. But I feel like I just expected a bigger fight to take him out. And, like, granted, he had, like, you had to take out all the other organs, and, like, disconnect them or do whatever to them, electrocute it. I don't even know exactly what we were doing to the other organs. I just know that, like, we were turning off the systems or overloading the systems or something so that they'd stop functioning, like what was keeping the organs working. So I don't know. I felt like it was a really big lead up to not a very, like, a really big lead up to something that I expected to have a much bigger fight to stop. It felt anticlimactic, I guess, at least when watching it. And then, like, I can't say I saw, I didn't, well, okay, I won't go that, I'll go back to Doey. I'm kind of all over the place, I'm sorry. I think the Doey monster design was really cool, and I've watched quite a few theories since I finished, like, watching the playthrough. And so, like, I've seen quite a few theories and, you know, talking about Doey and that, like, Doey contained 3 boys, contained Jack, so that one kid that fell in, at the very beginning. Then there was, I'm so sorry. Then there was Kevin. Kevin was that really angry child that one videotape, that one doctor or scientist or whatever was like, this is not a good idea to put a child this volatile in something that's like 300 pounds of dough that can transform into whatever shape he pleases. Like, so there was Kevin. And then there was, I think his name was Matthew, and he was I think it was in a note that he was like the older orphan. That was just kind of natural leader. The kids all followed him and stuff. So all 3 of these kids were put into Doey. Like, all 3 of these personalities. So, like, at the end, you're hearing, like, while Doey is in, like, his monster form and he's trying to take us out, like, or even right before he goes into the monster form, like, you can just, like, I just, like, hearing the different personalities, like, kind of swap through. You know, you have the young child of Jack that, you know, I just want my mommy and daddy, I just want to go home. And you have Kevin, who's, like, blaming and angry, like, pissed off. And then you have Matthew, you know, I wasn't good enough, I couldn't save them, I couldn't help them. Like, I think that was actually really interesting. I don't know. That wasn't expected. That wasn't how I was expecting Doey to go out, and then for the prototype to show up how it did. I don't know. I'm not surprised about Ollie. I didn't trust Ollie much to begin with. I was not surprised that Ollie was the prototype. I'm kind of surprised that Poppy was gullible enough to believe that he was who he said he was. I was pretty annoyed to see that she ran off. And, abandoned Kissy. Pretty sure, I'm under the belief that the prototype is her dad, is Elliot Ludwig, which was confirmed in the chapter. Like, I don't know. I think, like, there was interesting stuff that happened in this chapter. I think we learned some pretty interesting lore details. And I felt like this, I enjoyed playing this chapter for the most part, outside of the, like, long-winded puzzles. I had the most fun playing this chapter that I've had in a while. I didn't super enjoy playing chapter 3, but for the most part, I had a pretty good time playing this chapter. I just was really hung up on these puzzles that they're just so long-winded. They needed to be shorter, simpler, something, like, I know they were wanting to, like, kind of up the ante, with, like, difficulty, but it's just not, I wasn't finding it difficult, I was finding it frustrating. Well, I mean, I guess it was difficult, but it was more because I was getting frustrated. So, also, I don't think, they said that this chapter was supposed to be more horror, and I don't think this chapter had more horror. I thought it was scarier being, like, hunted down by Catnap and Miss Delight in the last chapter, but I don't know. And this was a very long-winded video of me talking about the chapter, but I will not be finishing it. I mean, I do still intend on playing the next chapter because I'm aware of what happened in chapter 4. I just am kind of over constantly running around doing long, a little, like, just kind of just ridiculous puzzles that didn't need to go on as long as they did or be as hard as they were. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what happens next. I'm thinking chapter 5 is the last chapter. I think chapter 5 should be the last chapter because they just keep drawing the game out. To the point I'm kind of like, okay, I feel like we're getting further and further away from the original point, but all that to say, I won't be finishing the game. Thank you guys, or the chapter. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye.